All right, guys. Hello, Ashton. Let's do the comms check. Could you hear me?
I can hear you. Testing one, two, three.
Yeah, I could hear you loud and clear as well. So yeah, another Tuesday. Welcome to Ordinary MA session. Nice to see some community members, ambassadors, investors here. For hosts who new, welcome as well. Very short agenda of the EMAs, what we're doing here. So we do the overview about the project news and updates. And later on, we jump into the community questions. So we collect those questions in our servers in TG and Discord. So every one of you could post those questions in advance. And as well, you have a possibility, of course, to jump in on the stage later on and ask the questions live for project founder Ashton. So we will do that in the end of the session. And for now, giving mic to Ashton and everybody welcome.
Thank you, Paulus. Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Um, Typically, we talk about industry and going over some insights. So before I want to address anything about OpenxAI, I just want to acknowledge the mood. Obviously, a lot of people are feeling down, tired, stressed, and second guessing. You know, this is mentally heavy for sure for a lot of people. Um, we also acknowledge we feel the same, like we are in the same boat. Um, but we are here. Of course, our team is still building, so we always have bumps on the horizon, and also in the past. Some of our team members survived at least one bear market. I've been in two bear markets. I've been in two bear markets, 2020, 2018 and 2022. So it gave us kind of a survival instinct and also how to survive during these extreme times. Um, I mean, overall, I think whether we have a confirmed textbook bear market, so typically lasts for like a year, starting from October 10th. I think that's also core kind of aligning with the midterm election, right? Typically, before midterm election, things are uncertain, so the people are not sure what's happening in terms of policy decisions, and also some of um, economic tensions, especially in the West. So probably that's where things going to get calmer and more certain towards to Q4 this year. I mean, who knows, right? Well, regardless, it's going to be a confirmed bear market or it's going to be a short-term bear market. Our goal is to be adapting and also prioritizing our our promises and our development. Because bear markets are not the end. Uh, to me, kind of like filters. They remove like tourists or people just coming into industry just for a short term, right? Um, Bear market especially punish weaker projects. Any projects don't have like real team members and build based on a real fundamentals basically die out. Because one thing I've noticed, um, we haven't had a proper altcoin season, right? On the last bull market. What I've also noticed that the appetite in the altcoin sector have changed. The winners in the altcoin sector are not like they used to be, right, back in the days. So real fundamentals, a lot of, I'm not talking about memes, by the way, right? So I have very little knowledge about memes. But when it's come to like other protocols, projects that have some sort of a, let's say, technology, what I've seen, these projects, there are clear winners and clear losers. Winners, what we've seen, they have some fundamentals. In our case, of course, it's a little bit unfortunate because we had a good start in September. We launched our token on September 10th. 30 days later, we had the biggest crash in crypto, right? October 10th. So we only had like 30 days window to do anything, right? So we couldn't do a lot. And I had multiple calls with our team members, basically what happened between October to December and January. But overall, I think for our industry has evolved. The appetite from serious people in the Web3 industry, they are looking for like good projects which has good fundamentals and specific breakthroughs that they can bring, right? Mindshare is one thing, but when it's come to fundamentals and traction, it's a really key element. Because I was fortunate enough to meet some really good people during Solana week. So Android's Horowitz team was here, Multichain Capital, Polychain Capital. There's a really good US-based, especially San Francisco and New York-based firms. They were there, so we had side events and a couple of dinners with them. It's really good to understand their perspective, how they look at the industry, how they look at protocols versus infrastructure projects. So they really truly believe in long-term sustainability. They're looking for like really good breakthroughs and fundamentals. What value you bring compared to any other projects. So they're seeing typically like equity market. That's how they see our crypto market now. So just to give you guys perspective, right? So it's no longer where like you can have a really nice marketing comms or social media campaigns to basically artificially create some sort of a excitement, right? Those excitements don't last long. You can, of course, you can fake it, but unfortunately, these short-term things won't go further. The only thing can survive is having a really good token infrastructure, token economic model, and have a unique token models that align with your product market fit, and then have your initial minimal viable ecosystem build. If you don't have those pillars, figure it out. Whatever you do is not going to work, right? It's basically you're burning your ammunitions. So that's why I think during bear markets things can be very clear, less noise, a lot of partners willing to work, easy to find talent, and also, you know, it's easier to get things done, especially in a bear markets. Um, Here's what I learned in hard way, especially during bear markets. The teams that win are not the loudest, in my opinion. Um, the teams who able to like stay disciplined and keep shipping and compounding the progress, um, that always has advantage. Because one good example I can tell you, um, during bear markets. So this is December 2020, 2018, right? So Phantom Time, we had a really good start. Um, in January, we started raising some funds. So I joined 2017 for Phantom Foundation. Now they rebranded to Sonic. It used to go Phantom. So we had a really good start in 2018. Things were extremely good back in the days. And then we raised in June 2018 around 40 million through private and public. We had about $110 million commitment from people, but we refunded a lot of those commitments and we kept around 39 million to $40 million. Even though we had that much capital, and then uh, even though we had that much capital, we couldn't do too much. So we raised funds at a $600 to $500 per Ethereum rate. That was the raise that we did. And then by December to 2018, Ethereum Ethereum crashed to like $150. So all our treasury that we had, even though we raised 40 million, um, it basically shrunk so much. Um, it was very difficult times, yeah. But we stayed focused, and it took very long time. Wasn't like a month or two. It took a very long time to get back on track and focus what is important, because we were thinking before, let's spend some money on marketing, let's spend some money, expenses on things that probably didn't even matter looking back, right? But what we focused on the main focus of the core of the technology, because innovation and technology is the key. So Phantom at that time we positioned, um, in 2018, it was a kind of Ethereum killer, a faster blockchain before Solana, by the way. So we had kind of a smart city kind of a use cases, but then we shifted to DeFi. So it became like a DeFi chain, prioritizing DeFi. But what was the main core innovation we focused on? We focused on the consensus as a service, because that was the main value proposition, being an L1 chain, consensus as a service. So if we provide consensus as a service for builders, what is our core use experience we need to deliver? What are the economic metrics we need to deliver in order to make it viable for the developers? What kind of incentives need to be focused on? So during bear markets, what we did, we basically, you know, drop all our prides. We raised 40 million or whatsoever. We drop all the prides. We went back to whiteboards. We sat down with some of existing, team members that we know. We started talking to users. We basically, inviting. We fly to some of the regions where we can meet potential builders. We sat down with them. We had lunch with them. So we just understanding their pain points, and that compound progress, it's helped us to build something that nobody have built before. So that's why when things started kicking, 2020, 2020 to 2021, things just started growing really rapidly, because we were building things on the background, like the compound progress impacted. So that's the main thing for us right now. Whether it's going to be a bear market or is going to be a short-term pain, we will be adjusting accordingly. Our product launch strategies, and also things that we keep on our roadmap. Because I've been hearing from a lot of people, like, why not BNB? Why not listed on uh, Kraken? Where's the TGPU? Why not we are not on Solana, etc. I mean, these are business decisions, right? Um, like, we also need to be smart. BNB, it was a business decision, right? We don't want to put the resources there. We thought Solana is much more better ecosystem. When it's come to um, Kraken, we thought, like, why do we just deploy when things are extremely bad? Everything is negative. So we basically said, okay, let's pause it. So these are decisions that internally that we make. We also run these decisions by other parties. So whatever makes sense, we do it, right? It is best for the project and best for everyone. We also have, sessions like this to hear community feedback. So you guys can also provide your feedback where your headspace with our decisions, because right now, it's an internal team making decisions. What we love to do in the coming weeks is to enable our DAO, so that way, things will go through a voting process. So there will be a proper governance. So token holders will have that opportunity to vote for things and create proposals. So we already have a couple of DAO frameworks in the past. We can basically implement those into OpenxAI. So we used to We used to use Aragon DAO. Aragon DAO is one of a really good DAO framework we'll be implementing soon. So all in all, what I wanted to summarize, like we spent approximately $8 to $9 million in OpenxAI and Open Mesh infrastructure in the for the last 4 or 5 years. So, not to mention years of dedication for these two projects. So these are our babies. These are our projects. So we are not going to let it die. Um, we we wanted to prioritize what is important for Q1, Q2, Q3, right? Okay, all right. So that's some kind of a just wanted to give you guys some context and how we feel about the industry so far and where we are positioning ourselves and where is our headspace at the moment. All right, so let's go into some updates. So typically I cover some like industry updates. If you guys interested, I was reading a very, very interesting article comparing not the percentage, but in terms of like dollar value. Like what kind of a dollar value, um, the difference in terms of losses that we had in 2008 financial crisis compared to, in the last 45 days, like 2026 and end of 2025. I'm not talking about crypto, by the way. I'm talking about, traditional market uh, together. So, speaking some numbers, um, 2008 to 2008, 2008 to 2009 financial crisis. So the total net worth wiped out around $30 trillion, but that over 18 months or 17 months. But if you look at what happened in last 45 days, $17 trillion. If you add some of other markets together, that's about $24 trillion loss in 45 days. So in contrast, so during financial crisis, we had a 1.7 trillion per month loss. But compared to 2026, so that's 5.6 trillion per week. So it is a massive difference. Yeah. So $1.7 trillion per month compared to like 5.6 trillion per week. So what we witness, whether it's a silver crash or crypto crash or equity markets, I think Microsoft last week, they lost about $300 billion plus in a single day. So these numbers are like gigantic, right? So uh, it's a scary world in terms of like the numbers. Percentage wise, of course, we are not in a position like 2008 or 2009 crashes, but lot of leveraged markets. We are not even talking derivative markets. Like I was reading some derivative markets. Some of the loss in derivative markets are over $100 trillion in the last 6 weeks. 100 trillion, right? So big numbers. A lot of people playing with a lot of, I would say, a lot of high leverage. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about some AI related innovation. Then we'll jump into OpenxAI updates. So there are a few interesting things happening in the AI space. Like I mentioned this a few times, like large language models is gone, right? So that's 2000, let's call it 2020, 2023, 2024 bubble. That's the large language models. Now, we had an agent hype in 2024 in crypto because Facebook basically brought the idea agent's going to be the next big thing in 2024. And we had an agent in crypto, agent related boom in crypto. But 2026, I see like real agents related things are coming because ultimately how do you measure real impact of a technology? You can check by productivity, improving productivity. So when you look at 2026, a lot of things is going to be, at least from a utility point of view, a lot of things will be checked based out of the productivity. So one interesting aspect I think is going to be a really interesting this year to see is something called agent teams. So we heard about agents, but the concept or the idea of teams of agents are working together, it's going to be an interesting concept. So if you guys saw this experiment, it was in YouTube. So a bunch of people given a task. Um, so it was a shape, like a very weird shape. You need to move that shape with two walls, with the two narrow doors. So you need to pick up this object, and then you need to move somehow to pass those two walls, and you have to bring this kind of a object. It's a 3D object. You have to move that object from this narrow door to another location. So people coordinating, like probably talking to each other, say, okay, can you move it to left or right? They're coordinating to move and take this object from two walls, right, through a narrow doors. Now, compared to human to ants, like we're very, very smart compared to ants, but ants somehow done it extremely efficiently. They managed to move, like I think it was 2 or 3 trials they did, and they moved. Human took like so many trials to move it. The concept of these behaviors in nature, whether it's ants or bees or like some birds, is called swarm intelligence. So as an individual entity, like a one ant is really dumb, but collectively it can be very smart as an organism or ecosystem. So these swarm bots or swarm intelligence is not new. I think this first swarm intelligent, the most famous, it's it came out of MIT. It's called ant colony optimization. So I met that professor in 2019 in MIT. He was talking about how ant colony optimization can be used to build better algorithms. Very interesting piece of research. Uh, so what this new concept called agent teams or teams agents, if you want to call it, uh, it allow multiple agents to working together in parallel, so accomplish multiple tasks or a single task very efficiently. So we are kind of crossing the threshold from a single answer AI to like a multi-agent. So we're talking about long context AI can hold like entire code base and start building and continuously can be built. So you can given a specific task, you can say, okay, do like a complete research on Twitter, what people are talking and how this going to be related to price action. So build a research, build a bunch of agents, please do a research, and bunch of agents, please build a code to start extracting the information and storing that into a database. And then bunch of other agents, when the first and second agent complete the task, but still talking to them, see what's the most efficient way to build this technology, and start building like a trading bot or trading terminal. And then another bunch of traders will be like, okay, it's based on another bunch of agents, based on the agent group number 4 or 3, start building smart contracts or start building like wallet management. And then these agents basically talking to each other, like building like a team. And at the end, the output will be a very efficient trading bot or a trading terminal, or it could be building something completely brand new. So the idea, instead of going in a linear fashion, it's kind of like a quantum computing. It basically spread the operation in parallel. So it doesn't have to be one agent has to complete a one task to go to the next agent. The idea of this agent teams, agents can do multiple things in parallel. By the time the agent understand the sentiment analysis on Twitter, the smart contracts agents build the basic framework already. So then agents can start interacting, and then they can, reiterate based on what the first agent groups are feeding to the agent group 4, 5, and there will be agents will basically auto assign roles, because it kind of knows, oh, you're building smart contracts, so another agent should be doing the smart contract auditing. The same way how ants basically, you know, traveling from the ant nest to find something to bring back, right? And on the way, they just find some they come across some problems, right? So they could be things that obstacle they find. They overcome those obstacles. Maybe the path that they used to travel, maybe that the path has changed, and then what they will do, they come up with another solution. But while they are doing other things, other ants are doing some other things, because ultimately the goal is to survive and expansion, right? So it's the survival and recreation, and it's just survival and expansion of the colony. So agent teams will work like that. So the difference between having a chatbot, you're talking to chatbot, you're basically telling a chatbot to do certain things, and you're constantly like, you're the master telling the chatbot to tell exactly what to do. But having agent teams will define their roles, and they're basically working together. And these teams can have like specialized knowledge, but the specialized knowledge can come from not just having a specialized language model, basically that is created out of thin air, because you can start creating agent and start feeding the data and information, and that in a matter of few hours, that agent will be a more smarter than let's say let's say a software engineer that worked for maybe 10 years in the industry. So that's very powerful. So you have an agent team that can work together, but these teams are super team, right? Lot of companies and a lot of organizations, they bring like breakthroughs because of their team, right? They have the best team working together. They have got the best insights. Like Google, back in the days, Google, they have a team called Moonshot Thinking Team, right? Um, and if you think about like in the military, or in like back in 70s, I remember there was a specialized team in Lucky Martin. It's called Skunk Works. It's a specialized team. It's like Delta Force or Marine in the U.S. Army. So it's a specialized teams. These specialized teams complete assign specialized tasks. Now, how to recruit those specialized people? It takes so much time. But imagine that instead of spending years finding those specialized people to do something, and you basically can create those specialized teams in a matter of hours and assign those specialized people for specialized tasks to accomplish very high level goals. So I think this year, this is where I see productivity will improve dramatically, because like, yes, we have so much users, like over a billion users in like ChatGPT, like traditional chatbots. But in terms of how that relate to a improvement in the AI space hasn't really progressed much. Um, it didn't directly impact much. But things like these agent teams, going mainstream would be a big thing. That's why I think the excitement that we had back in 2024 is becoming real this year. High probability that we will see a lot of innovation from Gemini, um, Google, uh, uh, Cloudier, and we'll see some open AI as well. So we will be launching our open source version through OpenxAI in the Google, sorry, not Google, agent teams frameworks for OpenxAI. So that will be interesting to see how open source version of agent teams working like the proprietary versions. So that's something that will be launching soon. Will be exciting to see how that gonna look, how that gonna play out. Okay. The other thing I've seen, this is very interesting, but at the same time, this is something that existed a long time. Uh, these are simulators. So simulators are on the rise at the moment. So NVIDIA, they are very specialized in simulators, because if you want to train a robot, like a physical robot, so what you do, you basically, I'm sure you guys seen a lot of these videos on YouTube, like robotics companies like Boston Dynamics, they use these methods before. So the idea, if you want to teach a robot how to pick up a glass, what you do is you basically build the bot first, build your physical robot first, and either show the robot how to pick up a glass. So the robot camera will pick up and basically try multiple times and just basically learn with the physical senses that the robot has to the vision senses, and the algorithm will process and just basically learn over time. So robot has to do multiple like learnings in order to understand how to pick up a glass, right? If you go to more complex tasks in robotics, robots need to basically physically move. Like for example, let's say you want a robot to pick up something in a warehouse and then maybe move it to another location. In order to accomplish the task, robot need to understand how to move, how to navigate, how to pick up. There's a lot of things, right? The issue with that approach, it's very difficult to scale because like it's required actual physical space, is required building. You have to physically build a robot, and you have to physically simulate everything in a physical space, and also takes so much time to gather, and then you have to store data. It's so much visual data. It's a very expensive operation. But imagine if you can copy paste the exact same physics. We're talking about temperature, we're talking about gravity, we're talking about most of physics that you and I are familiar with, into a simulator that represent like very accurate physical world into a simulator. So in a simulator, then you could just run a robot moving from point A to point B. You also you can speed up. You don't need to go in a real time speed like what we do, right? In that world, we can speed up. The time can be, you can change the time instead of, let's say, having a robot picking up the glass and then moving to another location. It takes 5 minutes. You can speed up for like a couple of nanoseconds. So that way you can scale. And since it's in a simulation, the whole thing will be in couple of megabytes instead of like couple of terabytes. And instead of having a one robot doing a one task, the same robot, because it's digital, since it's a simulation, you can copy paste the robot in like 100 billion universes or 100 billion scenarios in parallel, is doing different things. So one universe or one simulation, the same robot is basically picking a glass. Another simulator, the robot is basically running. Same robot, right? So what that means, you have, it's not exponential. The learning curve for a robot with a simulator, it will be, it will be in a straight line. So in a matter of days, in a matter of weeks, the robot will be able to learn pretty much a lot. I think that's going to be a very exciting concept about simulators. So Google DeepMind, they are working on that concept. So this year, I think we're going to see a lot of simulators related innovation. Like simulator is going to be a big deal. Google and NVIDIA will be working a lot with the simulators. We had some really interesting thoughts, like providing infrastructure for simulators, but we haven't seen a serious demand yet. Maybe we're early. I'm not sure, right? It might be, if it's a bear market, it will be really interesting to experiment on our V10 design. Someone can come to our V10 design, basically spin up a simulator infrastructure, and then they can basically download a simulator and then run those models, because we've got an infrastructure, right? Infrastructure won't change. It's basically cloud and hosting and data infrastructure. So might be interesting to experiment, but it's not in our roadmap, right? Just letting you know. So these are sort of updates from industry and also from the AI sector. For OpenxAI specifically, like our main goal is to launch V10. If we have a really strong bear market, we will launch a lean version, and we will release in few stages, because our goal is to have 100,000 users for V10 launch. If things aren't really sexy in the market or the appetite from industry, we can be less maybe it could be less in terms of the numbers. Instead of 100,000, we can go a smaller number. Well, but regardless, we just launch a lean version, and we can prioritize understanding the users better and having a very good launch. So that's our priority for Q1. And then the TGPU, depending on the markets. I just had a call with some of the people in Solana ecosystem. A lot of Solana and base ecosystem, they're pushing a lot of the initiatives, right? Because of the sentiment and the market. They will be building a lot of things on the background, but in terms of like big launches, because I consider TGPU is one of a very innovative and exciting initiative. So therefore, it will not be ideal to launch TGPU, in a market like this. So a lot of people accept that and also acknowledge that, because the idea of the utility of the TGPU, you need to have a lot of trading volume, right? The trading layer, if you want to call it RWA layer, it's going to be an important part, how to generate fees and also how to generate the staking rewards. Some of the economic factors require minimum transactions to happen. So because there's no financial instrument today or an exchange today letting you buy, sell, or go short or long on GPU, compute, or RAM. There's no instrument for you to do that today. There's no exchange providing those services. So we are building that layer, but in order to have a good launch, we cannot launch in a sentiment like this, because success is depending on the fees, is depending on the specific metrics, because we have something called proof of reserve. So proof of reserve is this consensus algorithm that we have. So that's where the actual OpenxAI staking comes in. So in order for you to mint tokenize assets like tokenized RAM, tokenized compute, tokenized GPU, you need to have a minimum OpenxAI tokens in a stake, and then you can just mint those T GPUs or T compute or T RAM. then you can provide those as a liquidity into the exchange. So you become essentially, instead of in DeFi world, they call it LPs. In our world, we call it RPs. You become resource providers. So Solana ecosystem very excited about these kind of initiatives. But I mean, their feedback and also our internal team feedback is things aren't good at the moment. So we will prioritize that depending on how things are going in crypto market and financial market overall. But V10 is is a utility of the product, and it doesn't require trading, right? It's basically builders building. So we're going to be prioritizing that. We might skip the marketplace for maybe a better time. So which means we only release the build section, but we will post the marketplace. Because marketplace, the original plan was to have 100,000 users come on board. Out of 100,000, we think 10% or 5% will be good builders. Out of that 5%, so 100,000, we're talking about 10,000 or 5,000, right? So 5,000 are good builders. Out of 5,000, at least 20 to 30% will be good builders, will be shipping their AI agents or AI apps into the marketplace. And marketplace, we also need to keep it very exclusive and very very clean. We don't want a lot of garbage on the marketplace. Because it will be like pump.fund, right? Because pump.fund, so many garbage existed. But if you create a really nice algorithm in the marketplace, how based on the usage and based on people appetite of the end users. So builders are building their apps and agents. They uploading that to marketplace, and then people who are interested in experiencing and testing those apps and services, they can come to marketplace and use them. So we can build like really good algorithms to rank those apps and services and agents based on the demand. So we can implement all of that. That was the original plan. So V10, essentially you have a Web3 version of Hugging Face, which builders can build and host and create all sorts of cool things. And the marketplace, it's kind of like an open sea for AI agents and AI services. So builders can showcase their creativity and their services. So that way we can provide a peer-to-peer, like permissionless way to offer AI services, and the users or consumers can use other people's services without a middleman, right? That was the whole idea of the marketplace. So if things are really, really bad, let's say in month of March or even end of March, if things are really bad, we will post the marketplace because we need a really good things in a marketplace. We post marketplace, but we will do the build section. I will launch V10 with a really nice campaign. And instead of having 100,000, we probably lowered our expectation a little bit, and we launch in 2 stages. So that's our current plan. But other than that, we will be going quite lean in terms of expenses to keep our costs down, and also prioritizing our one side is survival, but the other side is keep shipping. So yeah, I think that's the coverage and update from me.
All right, thank you, Ashton. Thank you for update. We have a few questions from community. So, guys who are online, I see community members. I see a few investors. Palagruza, Sabi, I think. So, guys, if you want to jump in, give feedback or questions, you are more than welcome. So, how you will do that? You basically request a mic. I'll see your request. I will approve, and you could jump in to ask. So you should do it now if you want to do that. And in the meantime, I'll just read through the questions which you collected in the TG and the Discord. So first one, when will be V10 beta released?
Yeah, so original plan in what we had in January to have the campaign run, campaign start in February 15th. So then from from February 15th to end of March, we run the campaign, and then in April we launch V10. V10, that's the full version. So if you go a little bit less, not having too much expectation, so we can launch it earlier. We can launch towards the end of March, or the mid-March we can launch, but it will not have marketplace. I think it's not smart to have a marketplace. We release V10 without a marketplace.
Is it possible, Ashton, you think, to do the closed demo call with community? So as you requested in the previous SAMA, I, I published the registration form for our G Discord members as well investors. We have 13 people who registered. I think we could extend the registration, like, for 1 week or 2 weeks, and depends on when we could manage that. Do you think we could do that like in a few weeks, just to have
Well,
a
I can do it now if you guys want. I mean, I don't know. Can we do a screen share here or no?
no onyx spaces? We need
I see.
to jump in on other platforms. Zoom should work. Google should work. So,
Mm.
okay, so if it's possible, then we will probably coordinate internally, Ashton, for the date, and then we could do that. So I would say
Yeah,
we could
V10.
extend the registration form, let's say, for a few more days, and then we could possibly have this
Sure.
demo call, this week. So guys, keep an eye on our Discord and TG. So we will announce when. All right.
So
The second
so
question.
V10, just
Mhm.
quickly, V10, a lot of stuff is being built already, including the marketplace. Just let you know, guys know, yeah. So there are a few smart contracts related stuff that we need to build. Like if you like in terms of the back end and the front end and the platform, those parts already been built. So happy to demo anytime.
Right. Perfect. The second question. Do we have any updates on the buyback?
So buyback, we're gonna do 3 buybacks this year. That's the conclusion that we got. The exact times obviously will be public on Twitter and our blog. So we were doing 3 buybacks this year, and it's good since, of course, the price is extremely low. So the market maker also suggested that as soon as we have the foundation done, completed, we'll do 2 buybacks, like in Q1 or Q2. I cannot tell you the time, right? Because I'm not legally to tell you. As soon as it's public, we announce public, and then I think I don't remember the exact disclaimer. I think it's 24 hours or 48 hours. After the public announcement, we will do execution through the market maker and custodian. But we will do 2 buybacks and then one towards the end of the year.
Cool. So that's, guys, good reason for you to follow our X and be in our socials, so you don't miss these as well. So for the investors and the token holders, this is quite important, I would say. How is Steam handling the current market crash? Will there be any delays due to that? I think you partly answered that, Ashton, but maybe you want to add something.
Yeah, I mean, look, like the only thing we can do is just focus on and building. I think I touched base, like what's the best thing to do during this time. Um, our goal is to focus on compounding growth. So that's the main priority.
All
Compounding
right.
compounding
Yeah.
progress. That's the word.
Yeah. Clear enough, I think, Ashton. And the last one from the servers. When will base mini app NFT be distributed?
Um, what I'm not sure the blocker. Um, Sam is away until I think next week. Soon as he
Mhm.
back, I think should be able to execute that because uh, like there's a multi-sig. Sometimes multi-sig expire if we don't if the team didn't sign. So I need to chat to him.
All right. I will remind you that one as well next week. Okay.
Okay.
So we have Sami as a speaker. So Sami, when you're ready, unmute your mic and shoot your question.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, house. Good evening, Austin. I'm so excited to be here today on this AMA session. So, Austin, I'm listening to what you said so far when you talked about robotics and simulation, and also how NVIDIA is trying to implement it, and also how Google is also trying to implement it. When we're actually looking at that kind of infrastructure, you know, are we, because that kind of infrastructure is just like, the cluster of a lot of GPUs only concentrated or only had or stacked by some few centralized corporations. So when we're actually tapping into that infrastructure, are we establishing the dominance of this are we establishing the dominance of this centralized body, because not a lot of people could afford or can afford to have that infrastructure. I don't know if you get. So that is my number one question. So I'd like you to maybe answer it. Let me get your feedback on that. Or should
Sure.
I rephrase, Austin?
No.
Okay.
I kind of got your question. So I think look, simulators, the proprietary versions always going to be the winner, right? Because they specialized. Like NVIDIA simulator, they spend a couple of hundred billions of dollars in R&D, right? You cannot replicate those kind of innovation and technology. And they probably have hundreds of patents around it. But if you think about OpenxAI, we have infrastructure, right? Um, any programs, they might have very specialized, like simulators on, they're not hardware. They might have a hardware optimized, maybe they have specific hardware that optimize for those simulators, but simulators applications. Um, so we have servers and GPUs, as long as there are a bunch of open source versions. You can run that. Um, you may not get the exact same output, but if you cannot spend, if you cannot afford like $5 million to pay for a simulator, but you might be okay to spend maybe a few $100, but you don't get those crazy features and crazy performance. But you're okay to wait for a couple of hours or a couple of days to simulate to complete, and you don't have all these features. And if you're happy with it, it will be still better compared to not having it. Do you know what I said? So I mean, do you understand what I'm saying? Because like our GPU networks, we can host a decent amount of operations and programs. We can host tiny programs like a game we can host heavy programs like a large language model, like even like heavy models. We're talking about 400 billion or even like a 1 trillion parameter models. Technically, we can host it as long as we have enough RAM and enough storage to host them. Like 300, 400 billion parameter models is easy, right? So we can host them easy. So if a simulator specification is less than let's say less than 10 terabyte of RAM to a single machine and couple of megabytes of so megaplop of GPU power, and as long as there are numbers that we can certainly facilitate, right? Because our network, the data centers that we work with, like NextGen Cloud, Equinix, High Velocity, they have a really updated infrastructure, right? Because they also spend like billions of dollars or hundreds of millions of dollars in infrastructure, and we have access to those servers and GPUs. It would be nice to have something called GPU clusters, which we are working on. It's a lot more complicated. The idea is to combine like multiple GPUs together to create a cluster. So it acts like a single machine, but in architecture point of view, it's you got hundreds of, if not thousands of GPUs combined into one single machine. Yeah, so we could do it smaller versions of simulations, certainly, but the large ones, of course, we are not there yet.
Okay, thank you. So I will ask my second question because I'm really curious about this particular question. When we're talking about models, being able to handle um social numbers of simulations or social number of things and all that or variations. And in that sector, are we actually mistaking it for intelligence? Are we actually maybe mistaking the variations, a model being able to handle so number of variations for intelligence? Because now maybe let me use this example. Maybe when you're looking at a model being able to handle something about tables, let's say tables, a table might be pink design, might have a pink design, might have a flowery design, might have a glass design, and so what you maybe you might have 10,000 variations of that particular design. So does that actually mean that that model understand what a table is, or is it just only about the variations of something? Because that is the way I actually think from that particular perspective. You might have social variations of this, social variations of this particular thing, but does that actually make it does that actually mean that you understand or that model understand the full components of that particular structure, or are we actually mistaking interpolation for intelligence? So that's my question.
Right. Intelligence defined in a very, very different way, depending on where we look at, right? In robotics world, intelligence defines in a very, very specific way the relationship between locomotion and things like, vision, and how much of the central processing unit can process information between sensors and vision. Um, Robotics is very different intelligence. And when it's come to biology, intelligence is very different. When it's come to AI, most of intelligence people are familiar with large language models. It's basically predicting what is the most probable word next. It's a probability based intelligence. So it's not that smart, if you really ask me. It has a lot of context. That's why it can predict what's the highest probable word. So it can structure a sentence. It can give you some meaningful answers to you. But is it really intelligent? So the question speaking of intelligence, like intuition and common sense, those things are very complex, intelligent layers. That's why I mentioned this before. Like we have humans, we walk down the street, we look at maybe a dark alley, we can feel, well, it's not that great, like we shouldn't be walking, or we are sitting in a bar, bunch of people laughing like at a distance. We can say, wow, these guys are having fun. These are like high level intelligence, right? So I think in terms of intelligence in AI space, probably like in next 5 years, um, we will reach a point that the AI is becoming more closer to like more closer to like what we call it intelligence. We are not there yet. So we do have a very specialized AI specific, uh, domain specific things, but general AI or general intelligence, we are not there yet. That's why this is very debatable, because the moment that we introduce this general artificial intelligence, like where is the limit, right? So we're talking about an agent or AI entity can think like humans. So who's going to control that AI, right? Who will be governing that AI? Who has the power to govern the AI? And if something goes wrong, like are we going to put that AI in a specific like a jail, like a digital jail? How do we control that AI intelligence, right? So what are the consequences if this AI agent or the entity did something wrong? And what does the relationship look like with this AI agent or AI entity with humans? So we're talking about introducing a completely different species, different paradigm shift. We'll have to rewrite completely, like law completely, right? It's the same way driverless cars, right? Is a robot is driving a motor vehicle in a public road. So they had to rewrite a lot of laws. That's why driverless cars not available, everywhere yet. So I think we'll kind of get there. But in terms of intelligence, I don't see we have AIs that smart yet. We don't have that.
Okay, thank you very much for that insight. And I just also want to draw, from what you said. I really like drawing into the community. I really like how we are trying to, preach and also have more ideas about this particular AI sophisticated technologies that we usually come on this AMA to learn about. Is really, really nice, having to tap into such knowledge. And I'm sure, most community members, they share the same feelings. And also, I think there's a recent activity that we did or we implemented. The OpenxAI brought into the scene, the Seco community. That's a very, very good one. Kudos to everybody that had the idea behind it. It was a
So I think we start losing you.
very nice one because
Not sure if it's just me, but I couldn't hear you clearly, Sonia.
just am I audible? Hello.
Yeah, I could hear you, but with the kind of some disturbance. So not sure if you are happy with the answers. It was a detailed one, and not sure if you having more. But looks like he's disconnected. But I think he's happy with the questions. Is it anything else who wanna ask something for Ashton? If you still want to do that, there's a time for that. You just need to request a mic and jump on the stage. The time for EMA session is going to end. So if you guys wanna ask something, I'm repeating again, please request a mic. Otherwise, we will proceed to the wrapping up session. In the meantime, if you are still thinking on the questions, we want to ask and invite you to our Discord servers and TG. Jump in. We're having good discussions there. We have engagements there. So yeah, not sure, Ashton. Do you like play poker? Would be nice to have you in a Discord and to beat you in a poker table.
No, I'm terrible at poker.
But
If
you
you
know the
guys,
rules.
if you guys down to play chess, I'm down.
Chess. All right, that's a good one. Ryan, I think you are here. So write it down. We need the chess games in the Discord to have Ashton there and to beat him on the chess. I think I don't have a chance to do that. I'm terribly bad in the chess and yeah, I'm better in the poker just so so maybe you guys playing chess so yeah. Some you brought you come back. So if you still wanna finish something, I'm not sure if you still have a question, but I think just we have a time for the last one. So just unmute and go on.
OpenxAI community implemented this circle community. It was a really nice one. That was a really nice initiative. It being implemented for more new users to navigate their way into that community and learn a lot more about AI. And I just love the fact that it started from, the foundational steps, knowing more about, your wallet, knowing more about a lot of things about that foundational stuff. I just love that fact. And also, we did have enough opportunities for people to grow, for people to equip their skill. And also when they learn, they tend to, get NFT certificates and also interact with some builders in the atmosphere there is really lovely, it's really nice, and it really shows that we are really ambitious about, the future. Uh we want an ecosystem where people are really enthusiastic about AI, about not only AI, about decentralized AI, because that's where we are heading to. And I believe, with all hands on deck, with enough knowledge, with enough learning, because learning never stops. We can actually get there. So that is my little contribution about it, and just us reaching diverse communities. People from India, people from Pakistan, people from Nigeria, just coming together and saying, okay, this is device AI. Let's see how we can push it. Let's see how we can, contribute ideas into how to move this thing forward. And I think that's what OpenxAI is all about. And every day we are actually growing. Every day we are actually climbing that ladder. And it shows growth, and growth never stops. And as long as we don't lose that focus, as long as we don't lose that direction of where we are heading to, we will actually get there, and we will be a force to be reckoned with. So that is my latest contribution for the day. Thank you.
Wow, next time you should be speaking behalf of me. You said it really nicely. Thank you. Yeah, so thank you. I think, look, we once we have a V10, when we have like real breakthroughs, you know, you guys feel proud to be part of a ecosystem like this, because like when I build something, like I put a lot of efforts into it. My background is service design, is the branch of design thinking. So like my main goal is to prioritize, deliver really, really good technology and innovation. And I think like I feel proud about V10. Like I see it, and I test and I experience it. I think it's going to be one of if we do it well, it's going to be one of the most talked platform because it has not just one, it has around 8 innovation and breakthroughs, and 3 of them is going to be something that don't even exist. So I think it's going to be a very exciting times in 2026, 2027, 2028, because I think AI industry is going in a very rapid pace. A lot of people say calling AI bubble. Of course, the equity price on AI stocks probably will have a volatility, but AI as industry is going to keep evolving because the productivity that usually come after that hype phase. So like we are going to see a lot of a lot of innovation in the space. From our perspective, our main goal is to have something really, really solid and something really proud that we enable a lot of innovation in the space. So and yeah, so excited to attract like really good builders. When we have a marketplace, we are going to see some real cool builders are building services and offering those services because ultimately, like this is the internal discussion that we had, by the way. We said we pick like up to like 1,000 good builders and we give them like a fixed revenue from our tokenized GPU layer and some other layers. And that way the builders will have like some sort of like a fixed income, right, per month. So that way they're going to keep going. Um, but yeah, so there are a lot of things we're discussing internally and we're building internally. When things start picking, and we will see a nice growth across multiple verticals.
All right. Um, 1 hour, 13 minutes. I think we are ready for wrapping up the session. Want to thank you, Sami, for your active participation in the MA session. Sami is one of the oldest community members. Happy to see him growing, his knowledge deepening about the project. So I just remember he entered our Discord and he climbed all the roles, and he is one of the OpenxAI commanders out there. So that's good if you want to be part of a community. So and be like Sami, jump into community and let's grow together and build together the strongest community in the entire crypto space. So thank you, Ashton, for your participation and for your updates. Is it anything else you want to add? Otherwise, we will closing the spaces.
I think stay strong and don't get distracted too much with the price actions. Let's stay strong and keep building.
All right. Thanks. And guys, like always, have a good evening and see you next week. Same time, same place. See ya. Bye bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.